What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? Poor Man Podcast back with another video. Today's video is going to be woman believes she's not getting hired because she's too fat. Before I get to the video, though, gotta do the YouTube stuff. The goal is 75,000 subscribers by August. It's a crazy goal. It's a big goal, but it's my goal. All right, the only way I'm gonna get to my goal is if you give me the HBO special. Do you know what the HBO special is? That's the Help a Brother Out special. All right, so go and help a brother out. Hit the like and the subscribe button for more content. I'll give you a second to do that. All right, now let's get to the video. Woman believes she's not getting hired because she's too fat. Let's see what she got to say.
Welcome back. Recent government figures have revealed that more than 7,000 Brits are on sickness benefit as they are declared too fat to work and cost the taxpayer more than 28 million in benefit payments last year alone.
Well, with us now is mum of one, Jay Cole, who weighs 22 stone. She's fit to work and claims she's desperate for a job. But employers won't hire her because she says she's overweight. She says company bosses are fattest and argues that she shouldn't have to lose weight to get a job.
Then there's businesswoman Katie Hopkins, who admits as an employer she would never hire someone overweight because they are lazy and lack ambition. So there could be fireworks here. Welcome to both of you. Jay, let's start off with you first of all. Now, you have had a job, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had
a job which you did, it was a 6 hours a week job, and you did that for a year.
Yeah.
So you have been employed.
I have.
Were you the same size then?
Yeah, I was the same size then.
Same size then.
Yep.
So you were employable at that stage?
Yeah.
Why did that job come to an end?
Because I had a dispute about like timekeeping. They tried to say that I was late, and to me, I wasn't late, and
Right.
it just seemed like they wanted to push me out because I was there when the other dinner ladies were there, and they never said anything to them, or they never got pulled in.
And
I did, and like one instant at there, my little girl was poorly, and I phoned up and said I can't come into work today because my little girl's poorly. I've got no one to look after her. I went back, and they accused me of being in KFC, which I wasn't. Apparently, someone saw me in KFC.
So what sort of jobs have you gone for after that?
I've gone for everything. I've done
she knows she
cleaning,
shouldn't have said
retail, nursery nurse, teaching assistants. I've tried everything.
So you say that you have gone for job interviews,
Yeah.
and you can see it in their eyes that
Yeah,
you're not going to
it's
get the
like
job.
you walk into a room and you just see their expressions. They don't expect to see what they see on the paper. You walking into a room, you can see they're just like, oh. You just see
Like
it.
a disappointment.
Yeah, you can see it automatically.
Because you are, you're qualified, aren't you?
Yeah.
You've got qualifications.
I've got qualifications. I've got all my GCSEs. I've got a level 2 diploma. I stayed at school till I was 19.
And at the moment, you are on benefits at the moment.
Yeah.
You look after your child.
I'm
but while
doing,
you're doing that, you're doing an open university course.
to be a teacher.
You want to work.
Yeah, I want to work. This isn't like I don't want to be on benefits. I've been on benefits since I was 18, and it's not something I want to be on. It's not something that I would be proud of.
This is we have to ask questions for everybody
Yeah.
here. So this is be very careful what you say because people do get terribly upset when you ask questions like this. But I'm about to say, if you go to all that work to get your qualifications, you want to go to the job interviews. What prevents you from thinking, do you know what? Obviously, being this size is affecting my chance of getting a job. I'll lose weight.
But why
Right.
should I have to change who I am? You shouldn't. To have a job, it is about qualifications. That's why you do that. You don't go for a job interview because you look a certain way. If you looked a certain way, there would be so many. The world would be boring. Everyone is who they are, and you're meant to look.
What do you think they're thinking?
This is not good. I see a lot of this going on. I see a lot of what she's doing right now happening, and it's not. I don't see how people don't get it. Sure, it's not fair. It's not fair. That's how it goes. It's not. Some people are born with no legs. Some children are born with cancer. It's not fair. We get it. We understand that it's not fair, but you got to do whatever you got to do to get to where you got to go. And at the end of the day, how you look matters. We know for a fact, well, we could get into the health and what it means to look healthy. But let's go into just the tribalism of people naturally. Well, humans, historically speaking, were in tribes, and tribes tended to look alike. So how did you identify if somebody was a potential threat from another tribe? There are differences in characteristics. So humans have adapted to treat people who have their same characteristics better than they do people with other characteristics. Is it right? No. Is it going to happen? Yes. If I walk into an interview sagging and I don't get hired, It ain't because they racist. There's too many times I see people that preach this narrative that they can't have the things that they want in life because of something that they can't change. And it baffles my mind that somebody would ever want to live in an existence where they believe that they're in prison, that they can't do anything. And I think some people want to think that way because then they don't have to live with the reality that they're not doing the things that they need to do to be successful. So she knows that she could do better if she lost weight, but that would be changing who she is. People start to see these things as their identities and what makes them a person. Like when you look at the fat acceptance movement, one of the most dangerous parts is that you can't get out of it. If you ever want to go on and change your life and become better, if you ever want to go on to lose weight, look at Lizzo's situation. She can't get out of that. They shamed Adele for losing weight because it's seen as an identity, more so than yourself in trying to go and be successful, more so than the individual. You see the whole as a group, and that group identity gets imprinted on everybody, and that's what makes them them. Your fat, like in this lady's case, her fat isn't what makes her her. It's a burden. And and I just believe, sometimes I believe that some of that stuff is just as an excuse to not be great. And it's really sad to see that so many people live in a place in their mind where they truly believe that they can't be successful because of something that they can't change. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. And I'm going to go on further to discuss qualifications and how that's going to affect. But I just wanted to just talk about how your looks and your first impression are going to matter. And traditionally speaking, historically speaking, humans have grown, have just adapted to look at people who have their characteristics differently than they look at other people who don't have their characteristics. They're always going to feel more attached. They're going to feel more empathetic for people that have their same characteristics. That's just natural. How do you combat that? If you feel like somebody's not giving you a job because of your characteristics, go and create your own avenues, if possible. Or have qualifications that are so great that you can't be ignored. And I'm going to talk about that in the next break if the opportunity presents itself. But let's continue the video.
What do you think an employer is thinking? Why do you think that they don't?
They think fat people are lazy, they're not capable, they're inactive, and they can't do what a normal-sized person, what is a normal-sized person meant to be, can do. That's true.
You can't tie your shoes.
Katie, let's come to you because that's pretty much...
It's true. You can't tie your shoes. Let's just be completely honest. And I'm not trying to be that guy. You can't tie your shoes, but you can eat the hell out of a buffet. It's just certain things that, yes, if you're bigger, what do you want to do? Let's continue the video. I ain't going to get too far into the rant. Y'all know I take health seriously, though. And it's sad. It's so sad, man, that so many people live in this world. Let's continue, though.
Well, that's you there. She's just described what you say.
Yes, I think that's fair. I think, if you look at somebody that is your size, I think your immediate reaction, and it is those perceptions, those first reactions that do matter, no matter what we say. The reaction you get is, would I want to put someone in front of a client that looks like this? Would I want them to think, do they look dynamic? Do they look disciplined? Do they look highly efficient? Well, no, speaking frankly. And therefore, Jay wouldn't be someone that I would employ. And we have to recognise there's lots of other people queuing up behind her for that job. So I have a lot of other choices.
Say no to me because of the way I look, my size? Because I come across, to me, I think I come across well-spoken, well-mannered. I have the qualifications on the paper. And just because I walk in and I'm 10 sizes dressed bigger than, say, you, and you think, no, she's not having the job, because that is why I am here today, because that is proven there is such thing as fatism.
Because I would look at you and I would think, well, I can choose from 20, 30, 200 other people.
That's like, if you
but also, I would look at you and I would think, as a small business as we are, there is potential for there to be sickness-related issues to do with being overweight.
I did have a day off sick due to myself at work.
But that is a fact. We lost 16.8 billion last year for sickness, and that would worry me as an employer. If you worked for me and come into my employment, I'd be like, I don't want to hire you because I don't like the look of you. You'd probably then try and sue me or along them lines. But I would say to you, I'd say, this is an issue. People have this opinion, which you admit.
Yeah, I know.
And so why don't you think, well, if I am going to compete, if I am going to get myself off benefits, which I really want to,
but
why
you wouldn't
don't
ask someone of a different colour to change their colour to get a job, because there is such thing as racism and there is such thing as disability. So you wouldn't ask someone that's got a disability, oh, you've got to not be disabled.
I think maybe people just say that people.
I'm sorry. This is what I really dislike about this conversation and where it tends to lead. After the civil rights movement, which was justified, we're not going to debate this. We're not going to have this conversation. Black people in America have had it very tough, systematically, historically speaking. Are things getting better? Yes. Are they perfect? No. Are they ever going to be perfect? Probably not. Right? But historically speaking, black people have faced systematic racism in America. That's not up for debate. But what happened after the civil rights movement is then everybody in they goddamn mama started to come up out of the woodworks and say, oh, we're oppressed too, to the point where you have white women. And this is going into another point, but you have white women who are arguably the highest beneficiaries of what slavery was, trying to complain and say that they didn't have it good throughout the entire thing. Trying to say that white men were just dragging them along, when we know for a historical fact that some of the most cruel slave masters were the women. So how do you then come back and start saying that you're oppressed and this and this and that? And this comes down to qualifications, right? It comes down to it's simple. It doesn't matter if you could be a fat black trans woman, and if you got the right qualifications, they're going to hire you. Why? Because money matters more to companies than how you look at the end of the day. But if your qualifications are equal across the board with people that are competing for your spot, the person who looks the best or the person who exhibits the better people skills is definitely going to be the one that gets hired. That's just how it works. There's this narrative that there seems to be this anti-competition narrative that's pushed by the same people that want participation medals. This woman doesn't understand that she's in a competitive market. Everybody wants a job. Everybody needs a job to continue to live. You're in a competitive market. To compete, sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do, and that means lose weight. It's just that simple. Same thing when it goes for relationships. To compete, sometimes you got to do things that you don't want to do, like have sexual responsibility and not just allow yourself to have sex with whoever's walking around. For men, to compete, sometimes you're going to do things, sometimes you're going to have to do things you don't want to do. Working 60 hours a week so that you make more money than the next man, so you look better as a candidate in terms of finding a mate. These are all sacrifices you have to make to go further in life. Some people don't want to make any of the sacrifices, but they want all of the gain. It comes down to qualifications. Too many times do I see people who are not qualified trying to blame some sort of thing that they can't control for why they're not successful. And the truth of the matter is they just don't have the qualifications to be in that position. Let's continue the video.
People would perhaps
but this is your
say
choice.
that if you have no reason no ability to change your colour.
Yeah, no.
And you have no ability to change your disability.
Yeah, but then some people that are overweight like me, I have polycystic ovaries and I have a slow thyroid problem, so it is difficult for me to lose weight. So it's not something you can just do.
But I do find, if I may, but I do find that it's always someone else's problem. It's always the job centre's problem. You applied, you said...
Actually, she doesn't have a problem with
no,
it. It's
but
everyone else
we're
that's
talking about this application for jobs as if she's been hugely diligent in this. She's applied for 12 jobs in 5 years.
I haven't applied for
That's what your article says.
No, the article said that I have been to 12 interviews in 5 years.
Okay, well that's hardly,
but I've applied for so many jobs. But the thing is, where there is so many people going for jobs at the moment, that I am not getting the interviews.
But they can't see you when they look at the application.
When I do go for the interviews, you can see by their face they're disappointed.
Yes, and that's fair. So if you know that, why not change?
We're all talking at the same time here. Let's hang on a second. You say that you have applied for a great many jobs.
Loads of jobs. Right. I'm on all the jobs.
How do they know what size you are when you apply?
I'm not saying when I apply for a job that it's to do with your size. Also, I know it's not just like, if you apply for a job, they can't see what you look like. So I know it's not just my size. It's hard to explain, like... So
you're not qualified for the jobs that you've gone for?
No, I am qualified because I go for jobs that you have to have your GCSEs for. And I know that it's tough at the moment to get a job or a job interview. But It's, for example, have an example. I went for a job interview Friday, and someone I know went for the same interview with me, and you had to do a mental maths test before it. I passed the mental maths test, she never. She's a size 10, big bosoms, looks good, and she got the job and I didn't, but she actually failed the test before.
So they hired the person who was less qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that's because looks still matter. You know, if
But they
somebody
shouldn't.
walks into a room, you have an immediate impression of what you think that person's able to do.
But that's
the way,
unfair.
I'm just finishing. The way someone shakes your hand, that gives you an impression of the sort of person they're going to be. And it may be unfair, but it's totally within your remit.
it's
I'm just
kind
going
of-
to finish.
that's
It's
kind of-
totally within your remit to do something about
It's
it, and you're
kind of
choosing not to.
superficial, though. That could only take you so far. That
Yeah.
might get your foot in the door of somewhere, like we're
Like the
saying,
girl
but that
now.
won't take you through. That won't carry you
No,
through.
like the girl
if
now,
you're-
she's told the employees, I can't do this job.
But there
Why
is
did
another
you hire
side,
me?
isn't there? There's another side to this. Because you've been unemployed for such a long period of time,
Yeah.
that counts against you. Because you were let go from your other position for timekeeping, I appreciate that was disputed.
Yeah,
that counts against you. There are many factors counting against you, and I think you really have to say, in order to get across those factors, to bridge those factors, you need to really make that change.
Yeah, but I have
and
the
that's
work
why, as an employer, I have to be
experience.
honest and say I would never employ
The
someone
trouble
of
is,
your side.
Yeah,
the
but I
trouble
wouldn't
is,
employ someone like you,
it
though.
would appear that we live in. This is the world that we live in.
Yeah.
This is unfair as it appears to be. Certainly in
Yeah,
your case,
it
this
is.
is the way it is. And the trouble is also, I was reading the other day that for one job there were 2,000 applicants. So
I appreciate that, I understand that, but it is, you can see it, like if you walk into a room
2,000
and
applicants.
someone looks at you and just automatically writes you off. You walk into a room and you shake their hand and you say, nice to meet you, and they're like, you can see them like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. You don't expect that from someone that's employing people. They're meant to be professional.
And so to say to you, Katie, that there would appear to
And this happens in every realm of people's lives when they feel like. This is one of the reasons I have a problem with people subscribing to ideas that make them seem like everybody is out to get them. Because when you have shortcomings, you automatically put your shortcomings on discrimination because you believe that everything is through the lens of discrimination. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. People, stop. I already see people foaming at the mouth. Discrimination exists in every realm. Sure. Is it good or is that true? Yes. Is it good? Is it okay? Should it be a thing? I don't know. Is it ever gonna change? Probably not. So how do you then go on to be successful if that's what you want to be? And it's just, man, so many times do I see it's just super frustrating to see that this is where we've gotten to a point where you're saying that people don't want to hire you because you're fat, but in your last job you've been to 12 interviews in 5 years. You're not trying. 12 interviews in 5 years. You're not trying. You're not. Let's just be completely honest. Why? Probably because you have some government aid. You have help. So you don't have to work. You don't have to try as hard. And when you had a job, you got fired because you was late. You're talking about this dispute on time management. No, you were late. Were you there at 9 o'clock? If they wanted you there at 8:50, were you there at 8:50? If not, then you're late by their standard. They want you out. It's that simple. It's not because you're fat. It's because you're not qualified. It's because you're not doing the things necessary to be successful in that environment. It's that simple. And a lot of times, because there does happen sometimes with discrimination, but a lot of the times when people are talking about being discriminated against, they're coming up to me, hey, cuz, I couldn't, man, cuz, they ain't want to hire me, cuz, the white folks didn't want to hire me, cuz. I'm like, man, you better learn how to code switch. Is it right that black folks sometimes got to step out of their culture and learn how to speak proper? Maybe not. I don't know. Is it right that you got to be a part of European culture to get a job? Understand European culture, understand how to move through environments to get a job? It shows adaptivity. It's helped me in my life. But so many people are reluctant to do small things that'll make big changes in their life because they feel like they have to be a part of a certain group or to identify with a certain group. You have to look this way or be this way. And it's really sad because it holds a lot of people back. You see people I mean, and is it right that like certain companies don't want to hire people with certain hairstyles? No. Probably not. But is that their standard? Yes. So if you want to work for that company, you got to do what you got to do, or go start your own company, which a lot of qualified people are very well capable of doing it. One of the best parts about, one of the best parts about, what's the word I'm looking for? One of the best parts about segregation was you had to work with people that looked like you, for black folks at least. You worked with people that looked like you, and black people had their own things. So go back to that mood. If you feel like nobody's hiring you and whatever because you're black or you're fat or whatever, go make your own stuff. Or because you're a woman or whatever it may be, you're LGBT, go make your own. And and then don't discriminate how you seen the other people discriminating, or you're no better than the people that you were complaining about. So it's really sad to see, man, because so many people they don't want to adapt. The story of humanity has always been about adapting. That's what we do best. We adapt. Let's continue the video.
To be employers who are missing out on absolutely the right person for the job, who's got the right qualifications, has the right attitude, is honest and wants to do it, and you're turning them down because they're too big.
2,000, you just quoted from a job we recognised from last week, 2,000 other people who are equally able. Now, if I have a choice between someone who is 22 stone, with respect, or someone who is equally qualified, has the same GCSE, same history, I will pick the other person because that is a differentiator.
Well, that's what's got to be sorted. That should be allowed. That is discrimination.
It's not right. It may be reality, but that's not right.
It's not. Reality is not always right, but we have to be honest about it, and we need people that will tell it straight in order that we can make change.
I try and make footsteps in the right direction. I'd rather be part of that.
Yeah. There should be something done. There should be a discrimination against or something, because there's proof here that it does exist.
Well, you are both saying the same thing, actually.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but I do think where we have a benefit system that allows people to continue to make their way through life without needing to make the change, I think it doesn't help. I think unless we're aggressively pursuing careers in this competitive job market, you're not going to get a job, and I'm just trying to be honest
but I am aggressive. I am aggressive. I am applying. I am doing everything that any other person would do. And just because I weigh more than a certain person, I'm not getting a job, and that should not be allowed.
But the answer to that sits with you.
No,
let's leave it there. Let's leave it there.
Well, you see what it is. All it is a typical situation where people don't want to live in reality. They think that reality is going to change around them, as if we're in some sort of simulation, or they're in some sort of simulation, when that's not the case. Reality has always been hard, has always been harsh. Only very recently have people been so softened that they believe that we need to now change reality to appease people. It's not good enough to be able to get a pizza in 20 minutes. It's not good enough to not have to worry about bears eating your children. Society is bad now because society as a whole won't change to accommodate a very small minority of people that don't want to do the work necessary to be successful in society. Till next time.